What is up, everybody? Good afternoon. Happy Saturday. And we have one more video left to go in the How Much to Keep series with regards to unrestricted free agents. We have two more, and both are going to be so simple to discuss that I don't think I need to make an individual video about both guys. So we're just going to go for a double header in this one. I'm going to talk about both guys for a few minutes. I don't think there's much to say about either. So rather than trying to find a way to make an individual video about both of these guys, let's just cram them together and then we're done. And starting tomorrow, we can start on the restricted and the exclusive rights free agents. And the thing with these two guys is I don't think there's much negotiation. There's really not much to say. We already know what kind of money they're going to get if they get any money at all. There's not any need to compare them to other similar players because it's so obvious that there's only so much money they're going to be able to get. And that amount is probably the absolute minimum that you can pay a player of that level of experience. So the first guy is Artie Burns. Let's talk about Artie Burns for a second here. We don't really need to go into detail about the player. He's about to turn 30 years old, former first-round pick of the Steelers, had a decent-ish career in the NFL, has played decent football for the Seahawks as recently as 2023, but for the most part, he's been a disappointment in this league. He's a capable, solid veteran, and I appreciate having him around. And I would go so far as to say, if I'm the Seahawks GM and I'm trading Reek Woolen, which I want to do, and then I'm not keeping Trey Brown, which I don't think I want to do, I kind of want to keep this guy around. Good veteran presence, doesn't really mess anything up too much. For whatever it's worth, I thought he played okay for the little bit that he played in 2024. And I think you could maybe make a pretty solid justification for getting him on a veteran minimum contract if you decide to move off of Trey Brown and Reek Woolen, which is what I think I'm doing. And veteran minimum is the key word there because here's the thing. Last year, Artie Burns signed veteran minimum 1 year, 1.21 million with the Seahawks. That was ultimately the contract he signed for 2024. And then he only played in 4 games, had 4 tackles. So there's no reason for him to get more. He's going to get the veteran minimum again, which I think is going to be right around $1.21 million. There's no pay bump because he didn't play enough, right? And he's an older player anyway. Honestly, based on how things typically go for Artie Burns, you could make a pretty decent argument that you may as well not sign him and then just put him on your practice squad when the season starts. And if you need him, you can call him up. That way you don't have to pay him as much and you don't have to fully guarantee his contract. So maybe that happens instead. But absent that possibility, I do think I would like to bring back Artie Burns on vet min. So 1 year, 1.21 million. There's no need to go above that. Most of the contracts that this guy signs are vet min or vet min plus. We did give him vet min plus back in a previous year, 2023 vet min. He did get 2 million from us a couple of years ago for whatever that's worth. That is notable, I guess. The Bears, he got veteran minimum for the time. The Bears, the year before, he got slightly more than veteran minimum. So that's just kind of where he is as a player. There's no need to even discuss giving him more. If he wants more, then, go get it somewhere else. But I'd do that. I think I would do that. I want his veteran presence around, and I want another guy who can play outside cornerback while also having some nickel corner flexibility. So I'm going to say yes to Artie Burns. And the other guy we need to talk about real quick here would be Trevis Gipson. And again, there's really not much to say. Gipson about to turn 28 this offseason, former 5th-round pick. Spent 3 years with the Bears, spent a little bit of time with the Titans. Then he played a little bit with the Seahawks last year. You might remember this guy because he's the guy who gave up the touchdown in coverage to Jared Goff. No, he didn't give up a touchdown pass from Jared Goff. He gave up a touchdown catch to Jared Goff. So, I mean, That kind of tells you how his season went. He was active in 5 games. He had 0 tackles, made no impact. By the way, we traded for this guy, so pretty bad, right? Pretty bad. But anyway, you go to Spotrac. The contract he signed with Jacksonville was slightly more than veteran minimum, 1.3 million basically. The contract he signed with the Titans was 1.25, so slightly more than veteran minimum. And then before that was the rookie deal. So there's nothing to talk about here. If you're going to give him anything, you're going to give him vet minimum, which for him, since he only has 5 years of experience, might be like 1.08 or something like that. It changes a little bit every year, by the way, but it doesn't really matter. The point is, if you're going to give him anything, it's veteran minimum and not a penny more, because he didn't do anything last year. Why would you give a pay bump of any kind to somebody who gave you nothing after you traded for him? And let's remember, we could have used him because Nwosu missed most of the season, and Mafe probably played most of the season through an injury that zapped his effectiveness. So we could have used him, and he had nothing for us. And for that reason, I would say, no, I don't want to re-sign him, even for veteran minimum. I think I can find a UDFA who will be just as good as Gipson for less money. Like, there are going to be some UDFAs you can get for 60% of Gipson's cost. So, yeah, that's, I think, a pretty simple one. I don't think there's any argument to bring this guy back. If you liked him, you would have actually played him last year. You can actually look at the snap counts, and you can see that after that Giants game, with the game we lost to the Giants in week 5, he did not suit up again. I think he was inactive or hurt the rest of the year. So clearly we ended up taking a look at him and realizing we don't like what we see here. So you can find a better player for a little bit less money than this, because it's not like you have to do anything to be better than Gipson. Sorry. So that would be my final evaluation on the last 2 unrestricted free agents for the Seahawks. I want to bring Artie Burns back. Doesn't need to be more than veteran minimum. He's just a good guy to have around. Again, I would strongly consider not signing him and then trying to get him on the practice squad. That's a good way to save money and save a roster spot, but I want him back. And Gibson's a no. Gipson, you got nothing for me. Again, we had Mike McDonald last year. You can't blame Pete Carroll, right? You can't say, oh, Pete Carroll didn't know how to use this guy. No. Mike McDonald probably knows how to use players. Let's be real here. I think Mike McDonald probably knows how to use these players, and he had nothing for Gipson. All right, so that'll wrap up this little series, although we do have a little bit more to go into with the restricted and the exclusive rights free agents. If you want to know more about that, we're going to make those videos, I believe, tomorrow. Maybe I'll do it later today. We'll find out. But, yeah, that's what I have for those 2 guys. I know they're not the most compelling guys in the world, but let me know what you think about them, if you think anything about them. Everyone have a good rest of your day. Go Hawks. At least 1 more video coming later today. Maybe 2. We'll find out. Or maybe something big happens and we make a bunch.